Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something pretty wild, how the explosion of artificial intelligence is set to completely rewrite the job description for a university science researcher. We're talking a fundamental change in their purpose, and maybe even their identity.
Okay, so how is this all going to play out? Well, you can really chart this whole transformation across three distinct waves of AI. First up is ANI, the specialist, which, let's be honest, is already here. Then, things get interesting with AGI, the generalist, which we expect to see emerge around 2030. And finally, we get to the really mind-bending stuff, ASI, the superintelligence, which could be on the horizon after 2040. Each one of these is an exponential jump in power.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to follow the journey of a scientist through each of these waves. We'll watch their role morph from someone who's hands-on, actually doing the science, into a high-level, ethical architect of discovery itself.
Now, before we go any further, there's one really critical idea to lock in your brain: the institutional buffer. Basically, even when AI can do everything, our existing legal systems and federal regulations mean that a human has to be accountable. A university can't just blame an algorithm if something goes wrong. This keeps a human guarantor in the loop, ensuring we stay in the driver's seat.
All right, let's jump into our first phase, ANI. And this isn't science fiction. This is already happening in labs all over the world, and it's going to be pretty much standard by the end of the decade.
So what is ANI? It stands for Artificial Narrow Intelligence. Think of it as the ultimate specialist. It's an AI that's absolutely brilliant at one specific job, like writing, translating, or spotting patterns in massive data sets. It's a tool that takes all the tedious, repetitive work and does it at superhuman speed.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at this table. For every task that ANI takes over, the human's role changes. It elevates. You're not just doing the work anymore, you're providing the final oversight, you're the one who verifies if the AI's results are actually true, and you get to focus on the really human stuff, like sparking curiosity in your students.
And this isn't just happening on a computer screen. This is where AI gets hands and feet. We're talking about autonomous labs, backed by federal grants, running experiments 24/7. These robots will reduce human error and make labs safer, freeing up researchers from the bench completely.
So this brings up the million-dollar question for every scientist living in this AI era. If the AI is writing the papers, crunching the numbers, and running the experiments, what's left for the human to do?
The answer is you have to evolve. You stop being a doer and you become an orchestrator. You're like a lab CEO. Your job is to master the art of asking the right questions, to audit what the AI spits out, and, this is a cool one, to actually design experiments that leave room for those happy accidents of discovery that a perfectly logical AI might miss.
Okay, so that's the world with an AI assistant. But now, things are about to get much, much bigger. Starting around 2030, we enter a whole new era, the age of artificial general intelligence.
AGI is not just an assistant anymore. This is an AI with human-level intelligence. It can learn, it can reason, it can strategize. It's not a tool you're using, it's a peer you're collaborating with, a collaborator that might just be smarter than you are.
This changes everything. Suddenly, a professor's value isn't their brilliant research strategy. AGI can do that better. Their value is being the legal and ethical backstop for the research. A postdoc isn't valued for publishing papers. AGI can write them faster and better. Their value is in being a super specialized auditor who can find the tiny flaws in an AGI's perfect logic. The human's job is to shoulder responsibility.
And in the lab, the whole concept of technique or craft just vanishes. All that unspoken knowledge, that feel for a delicate procedure that takes a lifetime to learn, it's going to be digitized, perfected, and flawlessly replicated by a robot. The art of lab work becomes a thing of the past.
And this leads us to a pretty fundamental, maybe even scary, crisis. If an AI can think better than you and perform experiments better than you, what is the purpose of a human scientist? What value are you bringing to the table?
So the new survival strategy is to become the arbiter of purpose. The AGI is a how machine. It can figure out how to do pretty much anything. The human's job is to architect the why. You set the goals, you provide the ethical guardrails, and you connect the AI's discoveries to what society actually needs.
Okay, so now we're going to enter the most speculative and, frankly, the most mind-bending part of this journey. From 2040 onward,
We're talking about the possible arrival of artificial superintelligence.
AI is not your peer. It's not your collaborator. This is an intellect that is, by its very definition, vastly superior to any human mind in every possible way. At this point, AI stops being a tool and becomes our successor. It becomes the primary engine of discovery itself.
And this just shatters our whole concept of what an experiment is. AI doesn't need test tubes. It will command swarms of nanorobots building and manipulating matter atom by atom. It can design a new material and have it built instantly, proving a theory not in the lab, but in reality in microseconds.
I mean, just look at this table. The scientific process is completely unrecognizable. ASI instantly figures out new laws of physics. The human's job is to try and translate that for the rest of us. ASI uses nanobots to prove theories. The human just signs the legal waiver. The human professor becomes a philosopher asking, why do we even need to learn this stuff?
This forces us to face the ultimate question. In a world where an AI can answer any question and solve any problem, what does it even mean to be a scientist? What is there left to do?
While the scientist's final evolution is to become an ethical architect, your role is to set the ultimate goals for this godlike intelligence. You become a post-science philosopher, exploring the questions ASI can't answer, questions about meaning, about consciousness, and you help orchestrate its immense power to tackle humanity's biggest problems.
Okay, let's just pull back for a second and recap this incredible journey, this great metamorphosis of the scientist.
This table really sums up the whole story perfectly. You see the AI's role evolve from assistant to collaborator to successor, and the human's task goes from using a tool to supervising a peer to governing an incredible power. But look at that bottom row. That's the key. Human value shifts from productivity to responsibility, and finally, to pure wisdom.
And that leaves us with this powerful final thought. The real challenge isn't trying to compete with AI. That's a losing game. The ultimate challenge, the truly human work, is deciding where we point all that incredible power. As science gets automated, the work of defining our purpose, our ethics, and our destiny, that is only just beginning.